Hello, 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 beautiful people. Back again. This is Toria Howard, a real estate educator, and I'm here to educate you. Of course, another video helping you to succeed in this real estate game. Now, are you ready for your pathway to your keys? This is where you get started with some complimentary education because I love what I do. So, without further ado, we'll be speaking about. Today is something that a lot of people don't think about when they're buying a home, which is what happens after closing. So, why most buyers feel broke after closing and how to avoid it is what we're talking about today. So, don't get emotional. It's all in the numbers. It's all in what you want to do. So I am a real estate educator. I educate families and individuals on how to increase their financial IQ in order for them to invest in themselves through buying a personal property or an investment property. So wherever you are, it doesn't matter if you're in Detroit, because I am a licensed real estate agent here in Michigan, but I can help you all across the United States because I have relationships with real estate agents all across the United States, West, East, South, North, Midwest, you name it. I know someone. So let's get into it. So people don't regret buying their first home because of the house. They regret it because the simple thing of not what's not being taught to them is how to buy without being house poor. And a lot of people get into this thing about buying too much too soon or using all of the money that the lender gives them. And you don't have to do that. So let me show you where buyers go wrong and how to avoid that. That's what we're talking about today. So post closing, that shocks the shock is, well, I shouldn't say the shock doesn't come first and foremost because of the fact that you're so excited. So post-closing shock, nobody warns buyers about is mortgage hits, utility spikes, repairs, appearance and lifestyle shrinks. And you have to make sure that you're buffering all of those things. So when your mortgage hit, you usually typically, depending on your mortgage company, you'll have some time before. So like you don't have to like as soon as you move in, you got to pay a mortgage. They usually give you like 30 days or however long that time period is. But you have to make sure before you go in that you understand what's going on in the utilities. You're not going to know fully, but you want to know a good idea of what you're getting into. So what you do is when you buy your home, okay, you call the utility company and say, hey, in this area with this square footage, what is the typical, and I could say, for example, here, the typical gas, this gas is very high than electrical. What is the typical utility charge, for this square footage in this neighborhood? They can give you a roundabout number and you can plan for that. A lot of people just plan for the buying part. They get all their paperwork in order. They do all the things they're supposed to do, but they don't think about after closing, which is those utility spikes and also repairs. Now, you're going to have a home warranty, hopefully, and you're going to have homeowner insurance. You definitely have to have that in order to buy the house. But the home warranty may not cover some things. So you have to have a budget set aside for that for emergency repairs. So typically it's 1% of your purchase price when you first buy a home. But once you get in a home and your value goes up, hopefully you're buying in an area where your value is going up and not going down. Um, then that number has to adjust, but it's 1%. So if you buy a $200,000 house, you need to have at least $2,000 saved, every year. So friends say, congratulations, right? While your bank's account says relax, because it's a lot of other expenses. You got to think about moving costs. You want to buy furniture. And the thing is, you don't have to buy everything at once either. A lot of people think they have to do that. You don't have to do that. So let's talk about approval math versus lifestyle math. And when you buy a house, you want to continue to have your same lifestyle or a better lifestyle. You want to continue to grow in your lifestyle, not decrease it. So lender math equals risk tolerance. So they're going to give you a number that's comfortable for them, but it may not be comfortable for you. So if you don't have a lot of debt and you make a good living, then you will get approved for more, of course, especially if you have a good credit score. So say for instance, if you get approved for 500,000, you don't have to take the whole 500,000. You can take, you have to know your numbers going in. So how much can you afford when you factor in your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, your PITI, your utilities, the U, and your emergency fund. So it's six things that you have to have all together in order for you to understand what that budget looks like. So if a $500,000 house, it's a $3,000 mortgage. That's just your principal interest. Then, and that $3,000, maybe you don't have that for just the principal interest. You had that for your whole total budget. So that means you need to scale back to maybe a $400,000 house. So you need to know your numbers. So lifestyle math equals sustainability. You want to sustain a good lifestyle. And then especially if you have children or you have a growing family or you want to have children in the future, children cost money, especially if you want to do private school, which your house can help pay for with your equity. That's another conversation for a different day. If they're in activities like AAU, thousands of dollars. So you need to make sure that you are not skipping on your lifestyle just to buy a house. So just because you can make payments does not mean you should do it. It might sound good that I can pay $3,000, but are you factoring in that's just principal and interest, not taxes, not insurance, not utilities, and not your maintenance fund. Your maintenance fund needs to be a part of your housing costs. So that needs to be something that you got to think about. So, three reasons buyers feel broke after closing: no cash buffer, which you should be building right now. So, if you're like 6 months out, meaning like you're at the end of June, July, 1st of July, buying a home, you should be thinking about your tax return and how you can use that as a cash buffer. No lifestyle margin. So that means you go in, you buy the house, you get all these things, and you don't factor in that you want your lifestyle to be a certain way. You want to keep doing your lunches and brunches and your dinners. You still want to get your hair done, your nails done, your hair cut. You want to have your gym membership. You want to be able to go on vacation and do some things. And if you buy too much house, then you're not gonna be able to do that. So no strategy beyond closing day. You have to have a financial strategy. And that's one of the things that I did not have when I bought my first home. I bought my first home in Memphis, Tennessee, a 4 bedroom, 5 bathroom house. I mean, five, that's what I wanted. A 4 bedroom, 2.5 bathroom house. It was 2,700 square feet. Loved the house, but I didn't have a financial plan. Once I got in, I didn't have money for emergency repairs, so we had to scramble to try to get stuff repaired. Garage doors, rotten wood, HVAC system went out. HVAC system was leaking in the attic. It was a lot of things that occurred, and if we would have had that financial plan, it wouldn't have put so much of a strain on us. It wasn't that we couldn't afford our mortgage because it was $1,200, but it was more or less the other things that came outside of that. So our utilities weren't bad because in Memphis, it's not like a huge heat bill. Now it did cost a lot when more people got in there, but you have to factor in those things. We didn't factor those things. We just kind of did stuff and just dealt with it as it came along. And that is something that you cannot do. You cannot just factor in things as they come along. You have to make sure you put in these buffers. Now, things like, certain things that happen, you cannot put a buffer in them. But if you have a financial system, then you will have that buffer regardless. So um, understand that you don't want to lose your home because you didn't plan. The plan is having financial buffer once before you start even thinking about buying, having that nest egg, being used to that money coming out and going somewhere else. Because unless you get a drastic change in your income is going to be the same. So just make sure that you're understanding that you need to keep that in mind, that things do change and fluctuate, and you have to put in those buffers. So smart buyers buy differently. They plan after closing life. So lifestyle, they want to look, because if certain things like that can't be taken off the list, like for me, I'm getting my hair done. I'm paying somebody to get my hair done. I'm not doing that myself. So I know that that has to be in there. If there's your hair, your nails, your spa, your things that are non-negotiable, you need to put on your budget and make sure that is, and then see what you can take off that could enhance your home savings and investing. So, you build the margins on purpose. You want to say, like I said, if you get approved for 500,000, you don't have to take the full 500,000. Know that maybe you find a home for 350 or 400 and it still fits your budget because you don't want to lose your lifestyle. And they choose comfort over ego. Listen, if you are a single person, right? You don't need a 5-bedroom house. If you have a family of three, maybe it's a husband, wife, child, and maybe you want to have another child, you need a 4-bedroom house. Now, if you plan on, having more and more, 5 kids or whatever, that's something different. But if you know what your comfort level is and how far you want to take it, now things happen that you can't plan for, but it's still all in all, there are things you can't you can't plan for. So what am I saying? You want to buy right. You want to make sure that you're buying correctly so you don't miss out on things that you can invest in. You don't want to miss out, and you don't want to miss out on life. Life is too precious not to live. You want to live life. You don't want to have all your money trumped up into, no pun intended, trumped up into your housing budget. You should be keeping your housing budget 30%. And I'm talking about your mortgage, your utilities, and your 1% uh repair budget. All of that should be in your 30%. 40, okay, you tipping 50, you going overboard. But if your housing cost is like 60, 80% of your income, you're not going to be able to live a lifestyle. So this, if you're first starting out, let it be your first home. Let that home give you leverage to buy that next home and you'll learn. So you have to learn first. That saying, crawl before you walk, is not like just a saying. It is for you to understand that you have to start somewhere to learn. Once you learn, and I've learned a lot of hard money lessons when I had my house, so it won't happen again. Start where you meet yourself where you are that's comfortable and you can still live your life. You can still go and have experiences and do things for your children and your family. So, Pathway to Keys is built for you if you're on this journey. So Pathway to Keys is about getting into a house. It's about making sure you still have your life after you move in because that's most important. So if you want keys and peace, okay, you need a plan. So book your Pathway to Keys session today. The link will be in the description section and grab my ebooks. Journey to Your Castle for First-Time Home Buyers, which takes first-time home buyers from concept to mindset, because your mindset has to change all the way, goal setting, all the way to the goals and table. And then I have one for homeowners called House Rich and Money Smart, how to turn your home into a wealth building powerhouse, showing you how to turn your liability into an asset, because that's what you have to do. And Keys to Your Castle is coming soon, so you'll be able to have a workbook style, guide with you every step of the way. I wish somebody would have did this for me. So everybody, have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.